Hi guys. In 2011 there was a killer who made a lot of people, especially women, should be scared. They don't even dare to go out alone during the day. And if you're at home, someone has to be at home with you. That pervert killer is Yao Changfeng. From 2011 to 2011, he has committed a number of crimes in the
Zhejiang,
provinces
Hubei,
Hunan, and Chongqing. A total of 52 cases. Due to the extremely brutal mode of crime, serious consequences, the police listed him as a Class B criminal, wanted, and offer a reward of 200,000 RMB to search. But it wasn't until 6 years later the police successfully arrested him. So how did Yao Changfeng get caught? And what are these horrible crimes? Now we will find out the details about the pervert killer, Yao Changfeng. An unhappy childhood. Yao Changfeng, born in a normal family in the district of Vanvia, Hubei province, however, is different from ordinary people. He doesn't have your last name. He took his mother's name because his father was in-law at their father's house. In that period, the man-in-law has a very low position and often despised by others. Influenced by your position, the wind is often seen by others with a look of contempt. He has carried hatred in his heart since childhood with my father. But what he didn't expect was a few years later. No, he did something that made him hate him even more. When he was 10 years old, his father once lost control. I did something wrong with Feng's aunt. When this was discovered, their families immediately became the focus of conversation. Whether it's adults or children, everybody's talking. Think of this as a story. Usual day. Every time you go out, the wind always feels its eyes, see and talk behind your back. Father Feng was arrested for that. And just a few days later, he died. Even though I still blame you in my heart, but losing my father at a young age made me sick. Grief due to the loss of a loved one. Plus the eyes. Disrespect of the people in the village. All of this creates a huge psychological wound. Heart Feng. From there he gradually became quiet and irritable. When you go to school or get bad grades, and often ridiculed by friends, make him even more. You should be more isolated from your peers. He's no longer talking to anyone. I also don't like to play, and hardly care about the people around. I can tell you the only one who can play. The only thing that happened to him was his mother. Not long after he died, his mother remarried to someone else, and then they had a child. Since then the wind, you feel like a burden in your family. So after elementary school, he did not continue to study but went to work with the villagers. However, due to the low level of education, at a young age, he couldn't find a good job. Finally, they can only do heavy work in the factory. In the process of working, Feng never actively talks to AI. After work, he just lies in his dorm room. Outside eating, he slept and worked and did almost nothing else. When growing up, leprosy reaches puberty, but there's no AI to educate him about human sexuality, and he doesn't know who to talk to. Gradually, he was caught up in pornographic books. A few years later, he became a 20-year-old boy, but still has a quiet personality, all day sinking in the collection of different pornographic books. His neighbor now has a family of 4. It's a couple that they brought down and their 2 kids. Their older daughter is 7 years old. Their younger brother is 5 years old. He was very gentle. Sometimes we talk to each other. His 2 children also know him and see him as a familiar neighbor. The crime of poisoning. The 12th of January 2011, back to the room as usual. He picked up the porn book next to him and started reading. I thought I'd read it for a while. Erotic descriptions in books makes him feel impatient. When the wind does not know how to do so, he saw the neighbor girl alone at home. An evil thought immediately arises. Then he went to the door and looked around. When he's sure there's no AI, he knocks on his neighbor's door. The little girl in the house who had no sense of defense, she knows the wind. So when you hear the knock on the door, she opened the door without hesitation. She didn't know that the person at the door was a wolf. The school immediately rushed towards her. He didn't have time for her to react. He pushed her down. A small child like her, I can't stand the power of an adult. So in an instant, she fainted from the pain. However, the wind still has no humanity. He did not stop but continued to commit crimes. As soon as he was ready to continue, her brother came back from outside. He walked in and saw his sister on the ground, in a state of ill-fitting clothes. Smart boy, turn around and run out for help. But the wind didn't give the boy a chance. He immediately pulled the boy inside, holding a knife on the guillotine towards him. The boy died on the spot. It doesn't stop. She looked as if she was still unconscious on the ground. He was afraid that if she woke up, she would come forward. So he took the knife and killed her. After killing 2 people, The Wind realized that he had committed a great crime. He did not dare to go back and pack his things. The hand doesn't run away. When the children's parents read her and see the tragic scene, they immediately called the police. The police quickly identified the suspect through DNA sampling. That's the neighborhood school. The police began to issue arrest warrants to catch this demon as soon as possible. Police don't just set up checkpoints at the falls. Private in Zhejiang, he sent someone to watch his house. However, after half a year of large-scale searches, the police still couldn't find any trace of the Wind. The police suspect he may have fled to Zhejiang, so they reported the situation to their superiors. A nationwide manhunt for this evil man. But what they don't know is, the Wind is hiding right in front of them. Even though Feng has not a high level of education, but he knows how to hide. After the crime, he was in no hurry to leave Zhejiang, find a deserted house to hide out. Only when the outside news about him has died down, he just stealthily left the district and fled into the deep forest. Once in the forest, living by drinking water when thirsty, and find wild vegetables, fruits to eat when hungry. Slowly in the forest for a long time, he also began to feel miserable. After a while of thinking, he decided to risk going home to ask his mother for help. However, the nature of a person is not easily changed. On the way home, this demon continues to commit crimes. That day on the way, suddenly, there was a shadow not far ahead. A little girl in his lap fluttered. I haven't touched anyone in a long time. He immediately looked around and realized there's no way around, so he moved quickly towards her. After she approached the opportunity maker, she quickly hugged her tight. Pull into the roadside orange guard. Prepared to commit force VI. She protested violently and kept crying for help. The fear of being discovered, he strangled her with one hand. The other hand covered her mouth. A moment later, she passed out. When satisfying desire, hurriedly left the scene. He did not return home, but once again hid in the living forest. A hidden life. Sometimes he comes out, sometimes to take food, sometimes to steal property. If you meet a woman alone, he continued to rape and murder them. They commit unforgivable crimes. The work of the Wind at that time, it really scares the people here. No one dared to leave their daughter alone, even if you have an adult at home. Then the police, based on the information that the locals provide. Many times we have been chasing Wind, but every time the hand doesn't come back. The reason is that the Wind often changes its hiding without rules. It's hard for the police to identify. In the 18th of February 2013, 15-year-old girl named Lynn with my cousin to bring rice for my sister in grade 12. On the way back, the two sisters played a game. It's two people splitting up and seeing who comes home first, but did not expect it's this game that makes you meet the devil. Yao Changfeng. Because the Wind happened to see Lin walking alone, he immediately hugged her tightly. To pull into the vegetable garden, intending to commit I didn't expect Lin to be very well. She was protesting and crying out for help. The Wind is afraid her cry will attract the attention of the people around. He pulled out the sharp knife he carried, stabbed towards her. Soon the spirit was no longer breathing. This pervert doesn't care about himself, just drove him crazy, releasing his desire. After being satisfied, he also brutally dismembered the body and buried in small portions in a deserted grave. Next, he fled to a park in Liangping County, Chongqing. On March 31, 2015, when the Wind returned to its hiding place, he saw a woman again, alone in the park. He followed behind the woman, and when there's definitely no air around, he pulled her and stopped beside the mountain road. But as soon as he's about to commit a violent VI, the woman's phone suddenly rang. The sound of the phone startled the Wind. Loose hands, and thanks to that the woman escaped. The Wind is not afraid. The 8th of December 2015, he wandered in the park. Suddenly, he saw a 16-year-old girl sitting there, playing the phone alone. After looking around, there's no sneaky Wind approaching behind the girl. He immediately pulled her up a hill next door and raped her. All the cases, these are just small grains of sand. The crime of the wicked. This demon he even raped and committed depraved VI with so many others, and most of the time it's successful. The risk of growing wind. Over the next few years, he continued to do many things. The rapes lasted until 2017. During this time period, he committed a total of 13 rapes, caused for deaths. Many of the victims are girls, underage, biconceptual, and when reading books, he concluded that all of these teenage girls are still virgin. Not only that, during the escape, many times they steal other people's property. Over the years, he's done 42, with a theft amount of more than 70,000 RMB. A major cause of Wind, many times escaped from police custody. It's the ability to hide. There's another reason he chose a pretty good crime scene. When the police arrived, he fled. Evil has to pay. Yao school. He said that with his caution. He could escape forever. But he doesn't know. The law will never pass for a cruel man like him. After a few years of searching, the wind finally came out. In the 7th of August 2017, hiding in the forest, the city of Nostalgia, Hunan province, flung out of hiding place to look for food. Suddenly, he heard voices from a small road not far away. Afraid of being discovered, he was in a hurry. A small forest by the side of the road. Through the cracks of the trees, he saw a little girl dancing towards him. Not far behind her is an old man. Is it her grandmother? But she's on the phone right now. I don't care about you. The distance between the two of you is quite far from joy. When she got close to where he was hiding, Win suddenly jumps out, a hand gagged. Kia took her arm and dragged her into the forest. When her grandmother just hung up, she realized that her niece had disappeared. This terrified her and immediately went to look for her. Then she went and called out her niece's name along the mountain road. Her call was quick, to attract the attention of a gas station worker. His name is Zhang. When I found out my niece was missing, he immediately offered to use the trolley to take her to find him. You're not far from the gas station. They saw a little girl's shoe in the grass. Immediately stopped the car for inspection. Very fast. I found a very obvious drag in the grass. So Zhang ran, followed that trail inside. A moment later I heard a cry for help. When approaching, I discovered a man is trying to hurt her. Immediately to stop. Your voice scares the wind. He didn't have time to pay attention to the girl. He quickly pulled up his pants and ran into the forest. Zhang also immediately chased after him. Just witnessed the situation. Zhang was very angry. I decided not to let him escape. So I just chasing. He called out to those around him for help. Your cry immediately get the attention of the people who are working. When you understand the situation, they immediately quit the job, participating in the capture of Wind, cornered and unarmed. The wind finally knelt. Go down and ask them to forgive you the way of life. But for an evil man who would do something to a little girl, people are determined not to forgive. Realize there is no escape. Take advantage when people are not paying attention. Into the bushes by the river. The people saw the wind refuse to come out of the bushes. They picked up rocks nearby and threw them at him. The sound of falling stones made him panicked and had to run away from the bush. The wind then ran towards the river. He just came out and tried to run away. The police and the people immediately surrounded each other. And finally, with everyone's help, they've taken control and inscribed it on the ground. But he still struggled in despair. To stop him from escaping, a villager tied a belt around his neck. He was forced to submit. John then called the police. When local forces arrived, they knew they had caught the wind. Wanted by the police. Finally, after 6 years, the devil is far from the law and receive appropriate for punishment. What you do. In the 4th of May 2019, the police have sentenced him to death for his crimes: intentional murder of a rapist, body insult and theft. To BA for 2020 after being approved by the Supreme Court. Fong was executed by firing squad. Before being executed, he also contacted his mother to report the situation. But she couldn't believe. My son is extreme and ruined. Such a ring after a period of silence. She just said I didn't give birth to this child and she died. Machine. Finally, after handling the case, Yao Changfeng, the police held a ceremony to reward the brave. Feel free to award the full amount of 200,000 for people RMB to participate. Arrest him. Life is a series of misfortunes. Continuation of unhappiness. To form a personality. It's twisted inside of him. The lack of parental love, as well as being subjected to contempt. He chose the wrong path. And then you're constantly making other mistakes. To even reading pornographic books. The choice is always in everyone. The wind could not restrain itself and choose to slide along the road. How much pain he caused the girl. Even his youngest victim was 7 years old. And his crimes. They deserve to pay for that. What kills a family apart from selfishness? Family, a place that seems to fit. Join any one member. It's a place that nurtures hearts. The immaturity of the children. It is where the fire of love is kept. That's what happens sometimes. People have lost their values. Sacred. In ways that couldn't be simpler. Let's take a look at today's case to capture the mind. Get closer and better understand that story. And before we start, I hope you like the video. and click subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you very much. Hunan was born in Singapore at the age of 9. Fashioned since childhood. You've been known to be a smart girl, cute and loved by family and friends. At the age of 55, she met a man older than her, 4 years old in church. You've been in love since 95, and then get married. And as a wife, they always keep the house clean. Take care of your husband carefully. She had a stable job at the bank. Everything around the salary, it seems to be perfect and beautiful. On 13 per 4A97, they welcomed their daughter Zhu long letter. However, this happy life did not last long. Even though your husband is in heaven, have not stopped trying. Rise up with your ambition. But he's lost 7 times over and over again. He's lost all his family's savings. They even brought huge debts home. Because of his salary, he gave up his job to stay home and take care of the family. You can only rely on the relationship to get back to work. There's no other choice. You have to live with a lot of debt to help my husband. But fuck instead, while you have to make money, pay off debts you didn't create. The man who put you in this position. Now I have a relationship with another woman. His name is Hubei Lin. They even live together for a long time. The salary doesn't know. Until the 15th month 9999 wage to discover the truth and take her home to her parents. In 2000, the man who tried to commit suicide, but he was successfully saved. Respect for husband and wife. She took care of him for a long time. But then she decided to divorce, for the sake of my daughter and myself. To 2001st Hunan salary officially filed for divorce, and she wants to fight for custody of her daughter. Of course, the 6-tiered refuse and constantly seek to delay the divorce process. Salary, of course, always determined, and it's not easy to fall in love with this shitty husband. But then just before her life was free, then tragedy strikes. At 3 hours the 14th of May 2001, you can go to your wife's house at 900 to BA. Have an agreement related to real estate you need to sign. It is also part of the divorce process. They live on the 4th floor. She asked him to meet her at the 1st floor. At the same time, she took her daughter. But I didn't bring the pen, so she decided to get a pen upstairs. Complete the divorce as soon as possible. Before going upstairs, she saw her daughter being asked all sorts of things by Han. I can't believe this is the last time you see me. Get out of the elevator. And when you get to the 4th floor staircase, a man in a helmet came out. He attacked her from behind with a long knife, stabbed her in the chest and ran away. Wage was seriously injured. It was hard for her to crawl to knock on the door. Her mother heard the noise and opened the door. I saw my daughter in a pool of blood. Your mother's cry makes the heavens. Waiting on the 1st floor in a panic, he rushed to the 4th floor. He hugged his daughter and screamed when he saw his wife lying there. The ambulance arrived quickly. However, the salary was too heavy. After a while, the resuscitation failed. She died at the hospital. At the same time, the police began to investigate. According to the usual rules, if one of the spouses is killed, the surviving person will be a suspect. With the marriage between, say, God and goddess people are broken, of course he's the prime suspect. However, he has a perfect alibi that shows he was killed on the 4th floor. She's playing with her daughter on the 1st floor, and many can testify that the funeral of Hunan, the gods have wept so bitterly. So who's the killer? The police continued to investigate the case to find out the truth, even though there's evidence of an alibi. But he's the biggest beneficiary of this. He's got property and custody of his children. However, look at his behavior during the police interrogation. First time the police saw something very strange. He has a non-cooperative attitude. When a husband loves his wife, will actively cooperate to resolve the case as soon as possible. But the police also found a new direction. In the process of interrogating they told me that I used to go out with 2 boys. Teenager. This happened just 4 days after Wage was killed. The police found the 2 boys. A boy who looks stupid. It's called the Forrest Gump. 15 years old, named after a famous character in the movie, the name of actor Tom Hanks. And the other boy is 16-year-old Emperor Vu. They both no longer go to school. When interrogated, Forrest Gump can't take the pressure and admit to killing. Hunan salary says that all this is at the behest of Lao Bi. With this witness, the police arrested her on the same day, the 19th of May 2001. Savage and Forrest Gump charged with murder. But it's how Forrest Gump is willing to admit that, whether he's lying and slandering or not. The mission becomes a tool. The killings began in February 2001. I met these two children in a group of 5. Group sex, in front of McDonald's in Basili. He met them and talked to them often. It's about being an older person. Become a mentor to the team. One day, he asked them if they were brave enough. With the young buffalo in the blood, they said they wanted to prove their worth. The gods keep asking questions. If we all claim to be brave, dare to kill, some people think it's a joke. Some say they'll do it for $100. That's about 8 million. And there are kids who give a figure of $1,000 of that's about 18 million. Finally saved heaven asked Forrest Gump, a boy who seemed stupid and the nicest of them all. They said they'd do it for $100,000. They all thought it was a joke. But they didn't expect the gods to be serious. He wanted to kill his wife. Hunan salary. This plan is described in great detail. Coherent. First, he asked for a handshake. Cover your face by wearing a helmet. Make sure you don't leave fingerprints by wearing gloves. He handed me a sharp knife, long enough to pierce the heart, and advised, should wear long sleeves to avoid scratching and leaving traces at the scene. After the crime, he offered to take his wallet and other valuables, pretending to be a robbery. I also recommend not to panic or run. It's a normal walk to the bus station. Take the car and leave. Finally, he offered to leave, pack up the murder weapon and throw it away. God says if you to carry out this plan without being discovered, he'll pay $2,000 a month for years. In addition to that, save the celestial warning first. He's actually a professional assassin, and I won't hesitate to kill you if you open your mouth to anyone. However, you can't believe it. The police found the files, deleted on the computer. From the clues collected 10, it is claimed that the 6 gods are the mastermind. He planned all this to kill his wife, to gain ownership of the house and custody of the children. The 19th of November 2001, Forrest Gump was put on trial in the Supreme Court of Singapore. God never admits to committing a crime, always with a wily smile and no regrets. He explained to the 5 Kia children that killing your wife is a joke. When asked by the prosecutor, why did you bring a contract for your wife to sign without carrying a pen? Because I've never been in a situation like this before. Not carrying a pen is my habit. Why did you leave your daughter and not go upstairs with his wife? It's also coincidental. I just want to spend a lot of time with you. In short, he firmly denies the plan to assassinate his wife. He even blamed Forrest Gump. Relatives and friends, Forrest Gump strongly opposes this. They said that Forrest Gump was a poor intellectual child, but very kind and compassionate. If it wasn't for someone instigating to act crazy, and because the money's too big, you didn't. Forrest Gump says, I'm being forced by God. At first I wanted to give up, but the gods threatened the lives of my loved ones. I have to do this for the good of my family. Gump presented the details of Liu Bin's plot, including murder weapons, escape methods, and other circumstances. But perhaps the most unexpected is the appearance now of some girls. Sub 3 earlier destroyed the family of Hunan salary. They are now testifying in court. They all said they heard. He said he wanted to get rid of his wife, my niece, quite a few times. One of his lovers. Remember the words he said? If your wife wants to steal your daughter, you'll kill her. All these witnesses plus 2 pieces of evidence found earlier. A newspaper containing a murder weapon, and the chat history is deleted from the computer, has made the 6 gods guilty, helped in the wife's murder case. The judge believed that Forrest Gump was just a teenager, simply cheated of a crime. In fact, He was under 18 when he committed the crime. It cannot be sentenced to death. Instead, the gods appealed, but both were rejected. Then he asked for a pardon from the president. I hope to switch the punishment from death to life imprisonment. It is not surprising that this application was rejected. On the 13th of December 2000, the 35-year-old was hanged. But he never admitted to his crime. From his arrest to his execution, always with a strange smile. It makes people feel uncomfortable and horrible. With Forrest Gump, you've always lived in self-blame and guilt. You renovated very well. Learning is good, and luck has passed many times. Exam and not just get a college degree, but also won the title of model prisoner. 2013 Forrest Gump files for presidential clemency. He asked for a pardon but was rejected. 2017 Sue applied a guide. This time it caught the attention of many agencies. Many people have spoken out in support of Forrest Gump. And finally, in the 11th of February 2018, the president makes a petition to the cabinet. After getting out of prison, Forrest Gump has also reintegrated into society. The daughter of the Lord. She was raised by her grandmother and then passed the college entrance exam. I have lost the love of my parents since childhood. It will always be a regret. I can't make it up to her life. And that's today's case. Do you have any thoughts? Please comment below. If you like us and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Bye. See you later.